Welcome to Wednesday Web Chat. This is Carl Lewis, your host from Vision 33, and today on Wednesday Web Chat, we are wrapping up our series on what's new in SAP Business One version 10. Today's topic, which is about, of course, new features and functions, will focus on what we refer to as platform extensibility. And that's really the ability of Business One to be more customizable and more easily connected to other resources you may use in your organization. How are they making that possible? We'll hope to share some of that today. Please remember, as a way of announcements, to take full advantage of our new Customer Resources Center. You'll see the basic link there at the bottom of the page. And if you need to know how to connect to these resources for Vision 33 customers, be in touch with your customer relationship manager and they'll be glad to assist you in getting involved. New material is put there all the time, edits, organization, all to make it easy for you to find exactly what you're looking for. So what's new in SAP Business One version 10 as it relates to platform extensibility? Well, some pretty nifty things actually. And one of them is something that I've been hoping for feels like many years, but it's really just 2 or 3, that the service layer, which was released for HANA, is now available as of version 10, that's level 2, for Microsoft SQL customers as well. Why is that important? Well, it's because the DI API that we have integrated many applications with into SAP Business One and vice versa, SAP Business One back into those other applications, be they e-commerce sites or EDI or add-ins or whatever it may be, has always used the DI API, which is a single-threaded mechanism for that type of integration, be it one way or bidirectional. That caused some problems because it was easy to overburden that DI API. And so many customers that had needs to import hundreds, thousands of documents on a regular routine basis, even daily, found themselves struggling for the system to keep up with a number of orders from outside systems like websites or EDI, for instance. But HANA customers would not necessarily experience that because those integrations could be written taking full advantage of the service layer. And the service layer, unlike the DI API, is multi-threaded, which allows for far greater throughput when it comes to those sorts of massive imports of data and multiple integrations to multiple sources across an entire IT landscape, with SAP Business One being this data repository for all of that information. So this is a big deal for this service layer to be enabled for Microsoft SQL. I can tell you that it's been a battle to get this done. The Partner Advisory Council and many other customers and other influencers across the SAP Business One landscape asked SAP for the last number of years, and the answer came back, no. Well, as you can imagine, leadership changed at SAP, and suddenly, when we ask the question again, the answer is now yes. So we celebrate that this service layer is now enabled for Microsoft SQL. There's also, as a part of that release, a service layer UI configurator tool now. It's part of the system landscape directory, of course, and this just makes it easier to configure the service layer to work for both HANA and Microsoft SQL. And something else we've been asking for a long time is that the ability to have formatted searches that operate with multiple triggers, not just one true or false condition, but multiple true or false condition. And whether you meet one of them, all of them, or none of them, would be all types of different conditions that you could have when you can support multiple triggers. So that is now possible also, which will make it much easier to satisfy some of the demands that some customers have had for their programmability in formatted searches. So we'll see a couple of different demonstrations today as part of our presentation overall. And the first one is coming up here. And so we'll take a look at platform extensibility, some of these flexible customizing things. Let's look at that right now.
Field creation was enabled for 16 additional objects. This helps to create the customization and store some user data on the selected objects as well. You can check the newly added objects on the current slide together with the table names. We would like to create a new user-defined field directly in the master data attachment section. And here we are able to find the attachment rows, and we can add a new field. The title should be My UDF1, and the description can be the same. As soon as we have added it, then we can open any kind of marketing documents like the sales order. And if we would switch directly to the attachment folder pane, then we can find the user-defined field here. Thank you.
Another thing to be alerted to is the fact that in version 10 and going forward, that there will only be support for 64-bit systems. So some customers, especially those who have been running SAP Business One for a significant amount of time, may have begun when we really were primarily in 32-bit systems. This was many years ago. As I said, I've been doing this about 17 years. So you'll definitely want to be sure that there are no systems that you're using as you migrate to version 10 that are 64-bit, that are not 64-bit systems. You'll also want to check that your add-ons, if you use any add-ons, are compatible with 64-bit architecture and not only 32-bit architecture. And the benefits, of course, of that these are more productive programs. They take up less space in the system when you have to run both 32 and 64-bit add-ons at the same time. And it just makes it more compatible with all technology systems going forward. So it's something that, again, just from a technology standpoint, we do have to continue to migrate forward with the times. And the time has come to really say goodbye to our 32-bit compatibility and move on with 64-bit only. So put that in your thinking cap and in your calendar, because it's an important date on the horizon as you move towards version 10. Here's some other technology enhancements that you'll want to be able to take a look at in version 10.
SAP Business One 10.0 Platform and Extensibility Technology Enhancements. We would like to introduce a couple of technology-based enhancements, like the Microsoft Office 365, the 64-bit supportability only, the SAP HANA 2.0 platform adoption, the service layer configuration user interface, the SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 support. Let's have a look to the first feature, which is the Microsoft Office 365. The Office and the OneDrive integration allows for the document layouts to be exported into the Microsoft Excel and Word. The report and the document layouts management is simplified, and it uploads the export directly into the OneDrive as well. The next enhancement had been made in the business support. The 32-bit Windows operating system support is ending. In line with this change, we are moving away from the 32-bit components and with the 32-bit add-ons. The 32-bit components had been removed from the SAP Business One version 10 setup wizard and from the product CD. Let's see the changes on the database level. SAP Business One 10.0 runs on SAP HANA 2.0 with a full multi-tenant database container support. The SAP HANA Cockpit helps to manage the resources, including the tenant databases. Native application development is performed by using the latest SAP HANA Extended Application Services Advanced mode. You can develop your own application using the SAP UI5 technology directly in the local web IDE for SAP HANA. The next feature is the user interface for the service layers configuration. The SAP Business One service layer configuration had been extended, and now it is possible to use a user interface in order to set up the service. The new site is listed in the SAP Business One SLD under the Services tab. On the service layer controller user interface, it is possible to start, stop, or restart the service. The new user interface displays the versioning information, CPU and memory utilization, and contains the node management. The service layer logs can be downloaded directly from this site as well. We have been adapted to the latest SUSE operating system version. The SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15 is the supported operating system for the SAP Business One 10.0 version for SAP HANA. It is a multi-model order operating system which is supporting the physical, virtual, cloud enablement, or software-defined environments. In Modular Plus architecture, everything is a module, so you can get product updates, patches more frequently. Thank you.
So you can see that Office 365 integration is a major enhancement that has taken place. And it seems to me like it's very, very complex. There is, as I'm going to play for you, kind of an illustration of how to configure Microsoft Office 365 integration, if people are interested in doing that. And as you heard him say, it does integrate with OneDrive as well. So the files can be stored locally or on a OneDrive that's shared by others, of course. So this could afford some, document management or report distribution. Several things come to mind that this might be useful for. And so also these videos are quite fast, that they're going through a lot of detail. It's going to be impossible to try to say, well, let me try to do that while this is playing. But there is going to be material released on how to configure and set up Office 365 integration. And today's example is just a short one for you to be able to see. Move forward here. There you go.
SAP Business One 10.0, Microsoft Office 365 setup. The email address which is set for the Office 365 account needs to be configured on the SAP Business One user setup as well. Afterwards, we would enable the Office 365 directly in the Administration, System Initialization, General setting. Under the Path folder, we can select whether the Microsoft Office export would work locally or by using the OneDrive. If the OneDrive is selected, then the system displays the hyperlink for the Office 365 SAP Business One web application. The web application is connected to the System Landscape directory, which manages the SAP Business One user authentication and contains the templates and the configuration. By using the user icon on the top right corner, we would select the application settings option. It shows the configuration together with the detailed help information. Here we would find the hyperlink to the Microsoft Azure site, where the configuration process is starting. Let's use the Register an Application button to define the name for the application. For example, SAP Business One. It is necessary to fill the redirect URI because these settings would redirect the application to the Office web service running on local SLD. The definition is the following. First comes the HTTPS protocol, then our SAP Business One server address together with the TCP/IP port. Afterwards, the Office 365 path needs to be entered, which is followed by the authorized HTML file. If the app registration is created, then we would copy the application client ID from the Azure back to the Office web application running on our SAP Business One server. We would need to have a client secret for successful authorization. This secret can be created by using the certificates and secrets from the left menu option and by clicking to the New Client Secret button. After entering the name and selecting the secret time validity, we would copy the secret value to the local Office configuration page. We would need to have some advanced settings in the authentication main menu option, where the access token and the ID tokens needs to be selected. The authorization setting is done. Now we would set the application permission. We are selecting the API permission option. After that, we are using the Add Permission button, selecting the Microsoft Graph, and delegate the permission option. It is necessary to have the OpenID and the profile permissions selected, which are available in the root of the permissions. Then we will navigate to the File subfolder, where all subpermission needs to be selected. It is time to bind the SAP Business One user account to the Microsoft Azure account. We can use the warning toast message from the bottom left corner, where we might find the link. It is redirecting us to the Azure side, where the login needs to be performed and the additional permissions needs to be selected. This part conducted the setup of the Office 365. Let's test our configuration by exporting the sales order to the Microsoft Word. During the first execution, the Azure login credentials are requested, and then the sales order is exported into the Microsoft Word. We will execute the same process for Microsoft Excel to export the content. Thank you.
Couple of things there. Number one, I think somebody told him that he was in a race to the finish because it's quite fast and really difficult to follow. But I think the important thing is to know that there is a configuration routine, and I will ensure you that there is documentation that is step-by-step to set that up and make it happen. We are doing that for clients who are deploying today. Additionally, he did not give an example, but it does work for reports as well. So if you execute a report in SAP Business One, you can integrate that into Office 365 and would be a way of distributing reports easily to those who have access to OneDrive, for instance. Just some other news for you, and we'll try to answer your questions as we get to the end. If you have some, be sure to put them into the question box for me. I'll do my best. The older Gatekeeper browser access service is still available in SAP Business One. So if you are accustomed to using the Gatekeeper browser access service, it's completely there. Its great benefit, of course, is that you don't need a local client established on your machine. It works with any browser that you can imagine and will access Business One for all basic features and functions. Your add-ons and things like warehouse management or deeper manufacturing, things like that, are not compatible with it. But just from a basic Business One functionality service, it is still available and still quite operational. Some other news about extensibility for you. There's about 3 lists here that are important. It's important to note that in some of the videos, they mentioned HANA 2.0. So version 10 is only compatible with HANA 2.0, and to move to version 10 requires an upgrade of not only HANA, but also SAP Business One, of course. There's a new version of the SUSE Linux Enterprise Server involved in this upgrade as well. As of this time, RSP, which is the Remote Support Platform 3.2, also supports SAP HANA 2.0. So all of that has been taken care of. The integration framework for SAP Business One has been updated, and there's also updated integrations for SAP Business One integration to SAP NetWeaver for those that are integrating back to their home operations that may be running ECC6 or one other version of SAP Enterprise software. The DI API can now be set to block the updating of address IDs in Business One master data through the DI API. So that's a little feature that some people have been asking for. The recurring postings function has been extended to the DI API and the service layer. So that's something people have tried to do from external sources for a long time that was too manual. The posting templates have been exposed there also. And all of the new cancel and restore for approval requests, which has been tremendously enhanced over the last 3 or 4 versions for approvals. All of those functions are now available in the DI API, so can be integrated from other applications and web devices as well. And there are additional reference documents available now in the DI API, so others marketing documents that are now available 100% would be goods received, goods issued, purchase request, inventory transfers, and inventory transfer requests, and checks for payment. So they continue to make the application more extensible to outside applications through these means. And the last list, Microsoft SQL Server 2019 is now supported as of version 10. So if you're running Microsoft SQL and you want to upgrade to the SQL 2019, you can, but you must also upgrade to version 10 of SAP Business One. The service layer supports typical SQL view exposure. So if you have a bunch of historical Microsoft SQL views, I don't know about stored procedures because I don't see it articulated here, but at least those views, the service layer will be able to see them and utilize them. As you saw, there is a configuration controller for the service layer, and the API gateway is available to access business data with unified service endpoints, simply meaning that the API can access Crystal reports now. And as you might suspect, there is a new version of Crystal reports, 2016 Service Pack 7, which is specific to SAP Business One version 10. So those are all of those behind the scenes technology type things that have been done in version 10. And let me take a look to see if I've got a couple of questions I probably do here, and just be sure that we cover those if at all possible. There was a question about SQL required for version 10. Again, you can upgrade to version 10 if you're running Microsoft SQL. And you don't have to upgrade Microsoft SQL to 2019, but you have the opportunity to do that if you so wish. Well, that's all the questions it looks like I had today. So I thank you for joining us, and be aware that in the next few weeks, we'll be starting a new series. I'm going to try to do my best to bring my own, call it interpretation and explanation to digital transformation, and what it really means for those of us that are more involved in small and medium businesses. Because most of the terminology and discussion seems to center around large enterprise businesses. I'm going to try to bring that back down to earth a little bit for us and talk about things that matter to you and I. So until then, I'll hope to see you again in a couple of weeks on the next issue of Wednesday Web Chat. Take care.